Hello. I wanted to take a few minutes to say hello and be an encouragement to families who find themselves in a new, uncharted place. We have been required to bring our children home, and for many families, that's a completely new experience. We've been homeschooling now for 20 years, and I have been consulting with families for the better part of maybe 12 or 13 years now. I have consulted with hundreds of families about homeschooling, and so I wanted to share some of that encouragement with you all. For many families, you find yourself all together in a household. You're working there, now you're doing school there. Some of you have schools that are requiring work from your children. And many of us, though, are just at a loss of what to do. It's not summer vacation, and we feel responsible for educating our children even though they are not in school. When I'm stressed, I tend to go to an extreme of dictatorship. We're going to have rules, we're going to have very rigid parameters. But my natural tendency is to be a little more relaxed, sometimes on the side of way too relaxed. So I'm hoping that we can kind of say they've been home for a couple of weeks. Either we've tried to be really rigid or we've tried to just kind of let it go and fend for yourselves. And now we're feeling guilty for that and we want to kind of bring it back in. So we're going to try and meet somewhere in the middle with this. I'm not very good with schedules. I'm not very good with timelines. I feel guilt when I don't meet those expectations. So I try and just have a routine rather than a schedule. Routine, we wake up, we have a warm beverage, we cuddle a little while, we begin our day slowly, and then we go through the cycle of activity through the day. Your children, if they've been in a traditional classroom, they're accustomed to very rigid parameters. They're accustomed. So now they've been out of school for 2 weeks, and how are we going to kind of bring this in at home? If you have had to bring your work home, you may not be as flexible with your time, and you might need to require more of your children. If you have no work at all, and you're just kind of living in your pajama pants right now all the time, then we're going to try and bring that into something a little different. We have so many opportunities to learn, and we are in that we are really unable to recreate classroom in our homes. It's not feasible. It's not really possible. We can pretend to play school all day long, but we really can't recreate teacher student ratio, all of those things. So I'm hoping to encourage your home and to support your home dynamic right now. We learn best through interaction and activity. Probably all of the things that you learned as a child are from really great memories and experiences. They probably weren't learned from a textbook, not even from a really great video. You learned it by experience. It's also important to remember that our children have about a 10 to 12 minute attention span to actually grasp new knowledge. After about 10 minutes, it goes out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. So Maria Montessori, Charlotte Mason, really great influences on my educational philosophy, believed in very short lessons and lots of time to process those lessons. So it's also important to realize, those of you who have adolescents at home, that they have a different kind of mindset, and they tend to misinterpret emotions and instructions about 40% of the time. It's not on purpose. It's their hormones, it's their growth spurts, it's the development of their brains. So, from the time that they're about 12 till about 17, just understand that their development is very different and extremely accelerated from anything you've experienced from them from the early years. So, with that being said, we're going to first accept that this is where we are. It's not where we plan to be, it's not where we want to be necessarily, but this is where we are. So, the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is accept where you are. This is our world right now. So, we're going to embrace it. I'll give you a few minutes. No, I'm really not. You just have to accept it. Now, from there, we are now going to make choices to figure out what to do with our children during this time. Even if they have packets being sent home, even if they have emails, even if they have technology that they have to report to a classroom, these are things that you can do for your household. I want you to think of activities being big to small, high to low. We're going to have just a pattern of routine that we're going to develop in our home. Play outside, play inside. Big loud, small quiet. We're going to have cycles of play like this. For those of you who are like, I really don't want to teach my children anything, okay, that's great, because now we're going to just let them learn in their environment. We're going to learn from conversations. We're going to learn from good books. We're going to learn from maybe watching some good documentaries. We're going to Google things we're interested about. It's called tangent learning, okay? Child-led learning. So, with that being said, we've accepted our current situation. Now we're going to figure out what we're going to do with it now that we're here. So, as an author, as an avid reader, I advocate reading for most everything. Now, what do you mean, Kelda? Well, I mean, we're going to read for knowledge, we're going to read for fun, and we're going to read just because we're curious about something. So I think that even as parents, we should put away our technology, listen to a good audiobook while we're cleaning the kitchen, maybe do some family read alouds. We absolutely loved as a family listening to all the Harry Potters. We love series. We like the same characters being repeated. Percy Jackson, series of unfortunate events. We got into a series, or sometimes even just an author that we really liked, and we just read through all of their material. So now might also be the time to introduce our middle school and high school readers to the classics. Dickens and Jane Austen, and I don't know, let's read The Hobbit. Actually, let's not read The Hobbit. Kelda had to find that on audio so that a nice British man could speak Elvish and Dwarvish and teach my children the proper names of people and places. So please don't hesitate to listen to those while you're fixing lunch for your family, or maybe listen to a chapter or two before you go to bed at night. Those always are great things. It's really important that your children just be reading for enjoyment. I don't care if they're reading about coin collecting or frogs or dinosaurs or, I don't know, anything they're interested in. Let them go pull a book off the shelf and read what they want to read. 15 minutes. Maybe it goes to 30 minutes or an hour because they're really into it. But reading every single day, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter, just read. And parents, I encourage you to be a good example for that as well. I'm sure you have a stack of books somewhere that you've thought, I'm going to read that when I have time. Well, now you have time, so go read it. Now, there's also another family dynamic that I think is very important to the survival of this time together as we are all in our household. And that is to really embrace the idea that we are all citizens in our home. And as being citizens, there is no welfare, and that everyone must help pull their weight. Your children are now home. They're not in school 8 hours a day. They don't have after school activities. So they can all learn from about age 9 or 10. They can all learn to use every appliance in your house. Your vacuum cleaner. They can do the laundry. They can learn to do their own laundry. This is very important. They can learn properly how to sweep and mop. These are skills that I am very blessed to have children who clean way better than I do. And I can only encourage families to set some kind of, again, routine that cleaning up after ourselves is a real thing. You're going to have children who maybe you have a child in your family that you're really good at loading the dishwasher and you didn't know it. Well, now you are going to learn it. Maybe you want to teach them how to cook. Maybe you want to teach them how to organize the pantry, organize the refrigerator, organize all that whole drawer of plastic stuff that we're not really sure if it has lids or not. They can start doing that when they're about 5 or 6. That's a great activity skill. Sorting things, understanding how the operations work in your household will make them more productive young adults. That's going to help them to be more independent when they move out. And according to Dave Ramsey, they will be less likely to move back in if they know how to take responsibility for their own homes. So, to say that, I'm going to encourage you to rotate some chores, get them involved. If you've been the one who's been taking care of everything because your children have been gone all day and now they're home, they're making more mess than one human being can keep up with. I will assure you, with 4 kids and extras and friends, we have always had so much in line of laundry and dishes. And that was the most freeing experience when I handed those responsibilities over to my children. They all know how to cook. They all know how to shop. They all know how to do so many things even way better than I do. And I'm so thankful for that. So teach them. Let them be in on the meal planning. They're way more likely to eat what they helped choose and what they helped cook. That's just the way it is. So, please also accept the fact that with everyone being home, your house is going to be a little more messy and a little more disorganized than it is on a regular basis, because you're not going to have free time to clean and it is going to feel a little overwhelming. So I'm going to encourage you to have at least one space, maybe your bedroom, maybe your office, maybe someplace where you can kind of get away for a little while and get your mind clear so that when you go back out into the world, that's again that big time with family, little time by yourself. Big time outside jumping on the trampoline, little time playing with Legos. So, my children are rarely bored. That's not a word we use here. I'm bored. Okay, no, you're not. I'm hungry. If they're just eating constantly because they think that's what they do at home, then I would encourage you to try the carrot and water test. If they're willing to eat carrots and drink water, then yeah, they probably are hungry. But if they're not willing to do that, then they probably just need to go and be redirected into a different activity that is an acceptable activity. So, with that being said, my children are incredible self-starters, and I've loved the videos of my friends' kids that are like, hey, my kids are back playing with Legos. These kids are in high school, and they went and dug out their Legos, and they're rebuilding Legos. And then we have some friends that, hey, look what they've been doing with all this great sidewalk chalk, and the weather's been gorgeous out here, and my kids have been so motivated to go outside and clean the backyard and the pool so that they can actually get in it and have a good time. So we have all of this freedom right now, but it needs to be directed into positive ways. So if your kid has been bugging you to learn how to do something, make a little mess and help them learn how to do that. It could just be like figuring out art with cardboard. It could be how many things can we build with the duct tape we have all in the garage. Because I know at my house I probably have 5 rolls because every time I think I need duct tape, I have to go buy a new roll because I can't find the other roll. I know you have art supplies crammed away somewhere. I know you've got some kind of sewing things in the back room. I know you've probably got all kinds of stuff back there. Throw it all out. Yes, just scoop it in, put it back in a box. It doesn't have to be terribly organized. But then when they want it out again, it's right there. Now, I'm also going to warn you, that we've got another 2, 3, we don't know how many more weeks to be doing this. So I would set your priorities on household dynamic, basic learning, and allow your students to have some downtime. They don't need to be entertained constantly. You don't need to be thinking how many obstacle courses we can do. It was fun the first week, but I'm going to tell you it's going to become incredibly exhausting over this course of time. Now, all those great, ingenious light bulb moments that you have, yes, follow through and maintain that energy. But don't feel like you have to be required to entertain your children. They need to be self-starters. They need to be self-learners. They need to be self-motivators. And they also need to recognize that when I'm bored, that just gives me an opportunity to go and practice something, read something, go take a nap. We don't need to rely on just our parents or just an adult to direct the way our minds work. They need to learn to be self-governing. This is a great opportunity for them to learn that dynamic under the umbrella of this time with their family. Now, I also believe in reading, I've already said, but the other areas is that every day they should be doing something mathematical and something that has to do with writing, handwriting, copy work, writing down the grocery list, maybe memorizing a poem or scripture or something fun, maybe memorizing lyrics to a song. But every day they should be writing something. One of the moms that I was talking to said that they were going to work on penmanship because she felt like that was something that they had kind of lacked with at school, and that's something that they could work on at home. And I just wanted to remind her that no more than 5 to 10 minutes at a time on one particular lesson. That's all you need. Math, there are so many great math programs online. You may have access to them through your student schools. If you don't, go to Khan Academy. Look online for some really fun things like that. If your child struggles with multiplication, then I would say, hey, why don't you do some multiplication drills? Maybe, again, 5 to 10 minutes at a time. We're not talking big time, okay? One thing that I think is definitely necessary is the use of money and making change. Understanding each coin, their values, and if you want to incorporate it into your household citizenship, then that can also be a basic economy of how they earn money, and maybe they use that money for screen time. Maybe they use that money for special snacks that we have. Whatever it is, you can govern it in your little world of your home, in your domain right now. Get their input because they're probably going to have some really great ideas when it comes to that. So, they are going to learn about money. They're probably going to improve their penmanship. They're probably going to improve some of their math skills that might need, or maybe they're going to go ahead a little bit in some areas. If they are given interest time and just not stressed, I don't have to take an AR test on this book kind of time, you might realize how much they really do love to read because we haven't sucked the life out of it by telling them they're going to have to take a test at the end of it. So, this time with your children is so precious. They're probably feeling and sensing the same kind of stress that you are, except that same stress is compacted into a much smaller body and a less developed brain. So if your children are irritable, or if they're tired, or if they're just obstinate and stressed, it's probably as a result of how the temperature is with your reactions to things. I love the saying that moms set the thermostat in the household. I'm going to say that parents in general set the temperature in the household. Now, with that being said, we need to accept where we are, not complain about it, just do what you can do to control things, and most importantly, not make your child feel like they are a bigger burden because they're home, because the governor said they can't go to school. They're saddened by that. Yet they're probably looking to you to affirm that you want them there. And I just think that that would be such a blessing to your child for them to really know that, hey, this is kind of an unsure, scary time. There are really sick people in the world. There are people dying from this virus. And although we don't know all the answers, and although we don't know all of the things about it, we also know that we have been given an opportunity to be at home together. You're safe with your children, they're safe with their parents, and they need to hear that from you. Whatever your faith base might be, encourage that. Whatever your thoughts are, if they are scary or if they are dramatic, sensationalized, over the top, I'm going to say, please get yourself together and not throw that onto your child. It's not fair to them. They can't process what you can process. They can't handle what you can handle. So please just protect them from that to the best of your ability. Now, for much of us, again, this is a new, uncharted place. This is someplace we've never had to be. I don't know of any other time in history that the government said you can't send your children to school. So, I am encouraging you to make this time as enjoyable as possible. And I also want you to know that being home with my children for the last 20 years, or actually probably 24 years now, has been one of the greatest learning experiences of my entire life. Their ages and stages move and transform, and they're just an incredible creatures and I get the privilege of watching them grow up and becoming who they are going to be, and that's just been one of the most exciting things for me. So I am probably one of those people that relaxes more knowing that I'm not completely in charge of my child's education. I know I'm the homeschool mom, but I'm not 100%. They're going to learn in spite of us. So even if you do nothing academic during this time at home, zero, nothing, your children are still, in spite of us, going to learn things. When we've had times where we've had new babies and my kids were off for a break for 6-8 weeks, or maybe we were moving, or maybe we had health issues going on, and the whole idea of academics went right down the toilet, let me tell you that my children learned so many things during those seasons of non-academics that everything, they'll be like, oh, you remember that? Or, hey, I learned about condensation. Or, Mom, hey, did you know this about dinosaurs and volcanoes? No, I didn't know those things. And they learned it on their own. They learned it independently. They didn't need a teacher. They didn't need a video. They didn't need really a parent to be guiding them because they were given opportunities to figure things out for themselves. Now, I don't profess to have all the answers, but I do know that you are completely capable of teaching your children at home. I believe that if you make the decision that this time is going to be good and productive and not all about stress and not all about, oh my gosh, we have to get it done, then I think this is going to come out, and they're going to have some pretty great memories of this time with their parents, at this time being home. Now, with all that being said, I do consultations with families on a regular basis. I am going to let you know my email is keldapoinot@gmail.com. And if you'd like a consultation, I am available for that. This isn't just an advertisement. But if you do need someone to talk to and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I would encourage you to reach out to me. I charge $35 for a consultation. We can do that over the phone. We can FaceTime. We can Google Duo. But I really just want you to know that this is totally, totally okay and that you can do this. So thank you for this time. I hope I have been an encouragement to you. I also hope that if you are feeling the least bit overwhelmed, that you just cuddle up with your kids, make some hot cocoa, sit on the sofa, read their favorite books, and be comforted in the fact that that is enough.